Well, the first step in making beer is to have good ingredients. In this area of Pennsylvania, we have excellent water, and beer is 96% water, so it's very important to have really good, pure water. I'm Dick Yingling, the fifth-generation owner and president of the oldest brewery in America. You start in the brew house, and you make your brew. We make a 475-barrel brew. We make it out of 18,620 pounds of malt and 4,800 pounds of corn grits. 620 pounds of the malt will go in with the corn grits in the cereal cooker. And we also make another mash out of all malt. The remaining 18,000 pounds of malt goes into the mash tun. After you hit a certain temperature in both vessels, you mix them both together to convert the starches in the corn over to sugars, which you need in the fermenting cellars to ferment your product. After you've reached that temperature, you pump the whole mash into a vessel called the lauter tun, which is like a huge sieve. The grain sits on like a false bottom, and water is sprayed through the grain, through the bottom, and it comes out the bottom and goes into the brew kettle, where the liquid is boiled for probably 2.5 hours to purify it. Hops are put into the brew at different intervals during the boiling process. Hops give the product bitterness. It also gives it clarity. This is where you separate the wort from the grain. Wort is what you have before it's fermented and becomes beer. In the brew house, it's known as wort. After you separate the wort from the grain, you pump it into a wort storage tank, and from there it goes through a cooling machine that cools it from about 190 degrees, 180 degrees, down to 54 degrees, where it's pumped into the fermenting cellars and where the yeast is added. You have to cool it, or you'd kill the yeast with the high degree of temperature in the wort. The wort is pumped from there up into the fermenting cellars where the yeast is added. It takes about a week in fermentation. It's not beer until after it's fermented. And then before it's filtered, it goes into aging tanks, where it ages for probably 2 weeks to 16 days. And then it's taken out of fermentation and it's filtered and carbonated, and it goes into final storage. As soon as you filter the beer, you have a carbonator on there, and that adds carbonation to the beer. Remember, in fermentation, you pick up some carbonation because it makes carbonation in fermentation. After filtration, the beer is clear, it has a sparkle to it. You can see through it. You shouldn't see any haze or anything like that in the product. It should be sparkling clear. We have a very small can machine. It's a small 40-spout canner. We do 550 cans a minute. It takes probably 45 minutes for the product to go through what is called a tunnel pasteurizer. It's slowly heated to 140 degrees for 12 minutes, and then it's slowly cooled back down to about 70 to 75 degrees. And what this does is kills any additional yeast cell that you haven't filtered out in your filtering cellars. As the beer comes out of the pasteurizer, it's packed in its container, a can carton, either a 12-pack can or a suitcase 24-pack can, is palletized and is shipped out to the marketplace immediately. Beer is basically like milk. The fresher it is, the better it is.